Welcome back to Havana People Sound.
You are listening to Rianne
And Mariano.
We are the Latin dance podcast based in the UK. For this week's topic, we're going to be talking about how to identify your level as a dancer.
So grab your coffee because we're gonna start right now. As we say, the topic of today is identify your level as a dancer. We have a few tips to help you. First of all, we know that it can be confusing when you come in from another class and other courses and you want to change courses or you want to change teacher, company, dance company, and you can't identify your level. You can't answer to the question, okay, which kind of level you are or which kind of level you think you are.
Exactly, there are all these different terms: beginner, intermediate, improvers, advanced, and different levels sometimes, level 1, level 2.
So let's go first to the history of these kind of courses and why they are divided in this kind of level, especially for salsa or Latin dancing. All the history of these dance styling, they come from the America when all these dances become like popular and famous, and they start to standardize. Exactly. So what happened then in America, they start to open this academy and start like on the beginning without any really good line or good guide. There was like our beginner, intermediate and advanced level. After a while, when the level start to really improve and growing a lot, basically they start to select more and divide and split those classes in more levels because the difference of the skills was too much. For some of them, we have beginner, beginner 2, intermediate, intermediate 2, advanced. And there is like a team, show team, and where basically there is no limit to when is finished your academic year, but you're going to make a special workshop.
You might take training to be a teacher.
Exactly. So depend of the kind of academy that you are looking at. After years, this kind of business, it went to Europe, and Europe has basically absorbed the same technique, the same structure of the classes. And there was on the beginning like just 3 levels, after 5, and now actually is exactly like how it works in America, with the sports society and support and select, and basically make even exams on audition exams, and can identify and help you to identify your level and judge which kind of level you are. In UK is still in progress, this kind of process basically.
Exactly. Most of the time in the UK you can see most dance companies are actually drop-in classes.
In other parts of Europe, the drop-in class doesn't exist unless it's for a workshop or for a congress.
Special event, exactly.
But all the classes are run like monthly, so you subscribe to an academy for complete the one whole year, a term.
Or a year, yeah.
Yes, with even a show or a test or an exam, and that makes the structure more stable. So you can go to another academy and say, I did the first 2 years of this academy, so I need to go for the third one. And the academy can decide to the audition to accept you for that year that you are looking for, or instead they can say, oh, you will go to the half term first of the previous years and after join to the next year. The structure, as you see, is basically as a school, as a normal school. In UK, we still not have this structure. So depend about your teachers or your dance company then you are looking for, or you came from, or you want to go to.
Now we're talking more about Latin dance companies and schools that teach salsa and bachata, etc. If you can see a dance school that teaches, I don't know, jazz, tap, ballet, they all have this structure of levels and enrolling in courses.
For now, this structure structure in UK is in this way, just because it's not popular as the other country of Europe. And what we can do as a student is to basically support our schools or academy and always help to growing and improve this kind of school and community.
Now, we talked about the history behind the levels in dance classes, but we have to ask ourselves the question, why are they so important? I know sometimes that we feel frustrated in a class that we go to when we feel ahead, or we remember a move and the rest of the class, because you practice, and the rest of the class are not up to date with what you know and what you've already learned.
Or all the way around, you feel behind, too behind.
And sometimes you might have to travel to find a class that you like. There are solutions to all of these problems, and we can give you a couple of tips from our experience, tips and tricks that will help you with these frustrations and hopefully improve you as a dancer and find the right class for you.
So we're gonna take 5 seconds of break. See you really soon. Welcome back to Havana People Sound. Let's continue the second part of this topic. Identify your level as a dancer.
Before we left off, we were talking about why it's important to identify honestly your level as a dancer. Let's split it up into a couple of points. First of all, for yourself, your personal self as a dancer, this is the best way to grow. If we concentrate on growing our dance community, our dance schools, then the quality of dancers and the services provided can also improve.
And grow in the same time.
When our community grows all together, this means that we can actually have the opportunity and chances to pursue higher levels, and that means performances, tours, shows, even competition. I'm talking still we can keep it as a hobby, but we can actually go further and not be afraid of what we can do with our passion, with our dance, with what we love. Because if you started to dance, it means that you like to dance.
And all this performance and the show is part of this art in itself. So you don't have to be afraid to go for it and to be part of it. Identify your level. It's not easy, and we know for our experience and the experience of a student that they've been with us, and they told us all the day stories, all the day background, and how they get in our classes. Identify your level depend exactly from each school, because they are different.
Each school has their own way of representing each category, beginners, etc.
You can be an advance from someone else, but in another academy, in another school, or with another teacher, you can be still an intermediate or intermediate level 1. Or a beginner as well, like in some of the cases, especially if you go in South Europe. What we have to basically do is actually sometimes go for a class just to see the class how is running, and see what we actually recognize as moves as the class and the structure of the class in itself.
Sometimes the names of the steps.
Exactly. Sometimes we think then just the name of the step changed, but not. It's even the way then how they make it are different. So we think then sometimes the dancing move are just looks the same as another school because they look similar, but we have to deeply understand then most of the times is not. So we have to be humble with ourselves and say, I will go with a class that suits more for me, and I can learn all the terms plus even deeply understand the step in itself. That will basically be just a benefit for you.
My recommendation is always to actually go to a beginner class. It doesn't matter what level you are. If you feel that you're advanced, you want to go to the beginner class first out of respect for your teacher, for the new teacher, and second to see if you like their style of teaching, if it's the right style of dance for you.
And trust me, if you are more than a beginner and you really are an advanced, the teacher in itself, he will come to you and say, you can move on intermediate
They will
2
take you straight away.
or advanced or wherever. Because of course there is no any reason of the teacher to keep you on the beginners. Trust me, you are more useful in an advanced
Exactly.
class or in a show team if you really are advanced. If your teacher says, then sorry, you should stay in intermediate level 1 or intermediate level 2, don't keep it as like offensive, but keep it as like, okay, I need to learn first something, or I have first to understand something that I don't know. And
Sometimes it's a matter of time. You just need a couple of weeks to get used to the new style, and that's what your teacher wishes. And then you can move forward.
trust your teacher.
So one little tip for you that I have, if you're really not sure, you're really struggling to identify which class you should be in, is sometimes with the other academies we have an audition process, especially if you're going in for a higher level. So they will ask you to audition and ask you what you know and to show them what you know. Now in the UK, currently there are not a lot of schools around like that, but what you can do is approach your teacher and ask for a trial lesson or a private lesson. Now not in the total sense to learn something new, but to dance with your teacher or to show your knowledge and skills, exactly, and ask the teacher to assess you and tell you which class they think you should be in.
Exactly. Sometimes you can deal with the teacher and say, like, we can have an half and half of agreement to the payment, because I know that private classes are expensive sometimes, but you can have an agreement, and if you like teachers, if you invest in his time, it's
Perhaps
fine.
you only need 10 minutes
Yeah, so
before the class. Part of our experience, we have had a student approach us a couple of times at different students. They would like to join the class, okay, which is fantastic. They come to us and they say, I have danced for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years even, and they want to join straight away into the advanced class or the intermediate class. And we tell them, please, would you mind to come to our beginner class, just so we can make sure we're on the same level, all the same names for the steps, so, nobody's lost. And we discover most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, that student cannot always keep up with our beginner class. First of all, that shows straight away the different levels between each teacher and each school. And secondly, time doesn't always mean experience or advanced level. Just because you have danced for a certain amount of time doesn't mean that you are more or less experienced than somebody who has danced less time.
in terms of years, like when you say 10 years, you have to be honest, how many hours you did of dancing in 10 years?
Okay, once a week, twice a week.
Once a month? Everything counts. And honestly, the difference between one artist to another are hours, not years.
Exactly. You can find some research from America. It's a very popular now. Many books written about it. The 10,000 hour rule. 10,000 hours is what they estimate to make somebody good at anything.
A master.
Exactly, an expert. So 10,000 hours, that can take approximately 6 to 10 years to become pretty decent at one skill.
Now, we don't want to say then you need 5 years, 10 years.
No, this is to achieve a very high level.
It's 10,000 hours, then you can achieve in 2 years too. So depend of the time then you really want to put into this passion and this art. Personally, there is experience of artists then in straight away they became like even the king of the salsa as Johnny Vasquez. Then he started like after 3 years and he became
world champion
world champion of salsa. Everything is possible if you put enough hours into it and enough commitment in dancing. Of course, the role of the 10,000 hours are not always like exactly, okay, I'm expecting that in 10,000 hours I'll become a master of something. No, it's an estimate average statistic.
Now, while identifying your level is important for many different reasons, It is also something that we should not actually get too hung up about. What we're going to do is to enjoy dancing and remember why we started dancing. The level that we make up, basically, is just a word. So whether you go to beginner class, an intermediate class, an advanced class, you're there to learn, you're there to help your peers, your community, and enjoy your time with them.
And improve your skills, of course, but doesn't mean then the level, the name identify your level. As I said, you can go to someone in another academy and have a different word, like level 1, level 2, level 1.1. So it's all different words. You are a group, then grow all together and go further, till the time then you think it's enough for yourself, or till the time then you will go to perform dance show.
It's never enough.
It's never enough. Now we are on the end of this episode of our podcast. See you next week. Thank you very much for joining us, to listen us.
Leave us a comment if you agree or disagree. We'd love to hear from you.
You'll be listening to Havana People Sound.